What's up, Source Nation? We got another special guest, which doesn't need any introduction because he's been on the show several times and he's one of the coolest, most influential people in our space and in many spaces outside of mortgage and real estate. So I'm going to get right into it because my good buddy's on, and I'm so excited when I get to have Rene on. We were talking in the green room, like what we could talk about. And he, you know what he said? He, just like a professional, he's like, you know what? He'll just hit record. Let's roll. Let's just freaking go, man. So Rene, first, thank you for jumping on. I know you're super busy. You travel a lot. So when you carve out 15, 20 minutes for the RE source, it means the world to me. Thank you.
Well, my pleasure, dude. I always enjoy our conversations and always love your audience, and it's always fun. So the answer is always yes, man. So I appreciate you making space for me.
You provide so much value. I go back and watch some of our stuff and chop it into micro form, and it's all super valuable. So if you haven't heard Rene before, like if you're driving, focus in. If you're on your laptop, shut other tabs down and focus in on Rene right now because you're about to get a treat. And we'll finish with an even bigger treat at the end there. So, Rene, we were talking in the green room, and there's so many things that you could talk about. I mean, God, man, you've grown so much since I've known you in this business and just have become this mountain and wealth of information. But I was like, man, right now, it's been so difficult in the industry. I kind of want, we've been in this business, we've been creating content, one of the longest OGs in this content space forever. And we've always had like one ethos, like we're going to talk about the most relevant thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And here we are still creating content 18 years later. So I'm proud of that. And so again, here we are. What's the most relevant thing that Rene and I can talk about? Well, how do you tell realtors and loan officers to keep showing up when we're 945 days into an adverse market? And I love, and if you guys have been watching, we've talked to a lot of influencers in the space and leaders and asked that same question. So I ask you, Rene, like, how would you coach people up? It's been 3+ years of a really difficult market. Their savings are going down. Their paychecks have gone down. Their motivation's gone. Motivation's in the rearview mirror a few years ago. They've beat themselves up. Hey, Hills, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I've heard that east to west coast for the last year from, dude, honestly, $100 million producers, $200 million producers. You don't usually hear that from the top of the house. We've heard it. Like, man, I don't know that I can do this anymore. So I asked one of the smartest guys I know, like, how do you coach people through that when they've really gotten kicked in the teeth for 945 days? What's your response to that, man?
Get the bleep button. What the fuck else choice do you have?
Yeah, right.
So here, go back to that. Now, here's the thing. It has been brutal, but there's no other choice, and there's no other choice but to keep going. And here's why. Because the things that are brutal are things that are out of our control. And so when we talk about mindset, which by the way, it is mindset, everything in life is mindset, but it's too broad of a statement to say it's all about mindset. And we're kind of talking about that. And we have to think deeper than just saying it's about mindset. What do you mean by mindset? How do I change? Do I have a wrong one? What if I don't even know that I have a bad mindset? Like, what does that even mean? Mindset is this overarching category for all of the ways that we interpret the world and how we approach the world. And that's the world. So now this is one piece. I have a mindset about how I approach my family. I have a mindset about how I approach my workouts. I have a certain mindset about how I might approach adversity. And some of those mindset approaches are ingrained into us in a very early age. But what I want to get to is when I say, what the F choice do you have? That comes down to when I'm in a situation situations that are a negative situation around things that I can't control, then one thing that goes through my mind, so it's the same for everybody. If it's raining for everyone. And if I can, what good does it do to complain about the rain? And if I'm competing against you and I know that the rain sucks, that I also know it sucks for my competition. So then the mindset at that point would be, shit, it sucks for both of us. How do I win? Enjoy it. Like, pretend to enjoy it. Push a little harder. Navy SEALs say when they're in the worst firefights of their lives, they get happy. Why? Because if I'm nervous, my enemy has got to be way more nervous. I'm a Navy SEAL.
And they're probably the best trained people in the entire universe. So if they're nervous, imagine how much more nervous the other person is on the other side of that gun.
And can they just outlast them a little longer? And so 945 days, that's a great story. Sounds like a great boohoo story to me. And now I say that, I don't mean it to sound, like I don't understand.
No, man, don't pull any punches. I love it. Like, we need some tough Rene love.
Well, but I have felt it too. I mean, the mortgage industry has been great to me. It just hasn't been able to be as great because of this. Okay, so what do I do? there's still problems that need to be solved. There's still people that need to be helped. And what is it that I can do to control what is happening? Well, part of it is, why does it feel so horrible? Because it's done. We judge it horrible based on the comparison of what we used to have. So we create the experience based on the comparison that we create. And so we're comparing it to two of the three of the best years. I know so many people who are brand new in the business that don't have any idea this is just how it is. Okay, this is how it is. Because they don't have a reference point, a frame of reference. And people that went through the good stuff, I mean, I have people that are saying, man, I used to make $12 million a year. I'm going to make six. This sucks. Like, you're going to make $6 million bucks.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And some people that were making 100 during the best times, they're making 30. Well, if you made $100,000 during the best times, you have other issues. You have other issues. You weren't engaging in the fundamentals. You weren't engaging in talking to people and building relationships, because it was never been easier to make a lot of money. So maybe you have to take a look internally. What can you control? And so the first thing, let's just talk about the mindset. Let's make it real simple. It's the story that you tell. And how do we know what story we're telling? What comes out of your mouth? That's the story we tell. And so I had a panel of, so I get a chance to work with #1 loan officer in the country, Sean. I work with number 5, Ben Cohen. He's in the billions in personal production. Work with some of the top agents in the country, billion-dollar producers. I was going to do a billion-dollar panel at Ampcon, because it was like, these people literally do $1 billion. And I asked him one question. I said, does the NAR settlement lawsuit occupy any thinking for you? You know what they all said? Nope. Doesn't occupy any brain space. They all said, we need to understand it, but I don't spend a moment worried about it. Why? Because I can't control it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I need to understand it. So when people ask me about it, I can talk to it and talk about it. But why am I going to waste any time? And that is the common denominator of any elite performer, is they identify what they can and cannot control. And yes, that's cliche, but the answers to life are found in cliches. Why? Because they're cliches, because they're true. So true that everybody repeats them. Cliches were the first viral content. You said something like that was so good and everybody said it and it went viral, so viral that it didn't have an impact anymore. We got to go back to those basic pieces, those fundamental pieces. If you're going to lose weight and you go to a trainer and he's going to ask you 2 questions. I need a log of what you've been eating, calories in, and a log of your working out, calories out. If you were to tell them, it's like, you know what, I want to do something different. They need to motivate me to do something a little different. They're going to say, there is no different to that math. That's a mathematical equation. And the same is true in selling. The same is true in everything. We're having a fantastic year because we had to be different. We had to do different things. Like I have reinvented again. I had to reinvent in COVID.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you had to do that already in the last 4 years?
Yep. I'm reinventing again. I'm dropping 80% of my travel. 80%. So then what? I'm going to be helping build people's brands. Okay. That seems to be something that people want. I have to serve that need. And what's crazy is that we brought in more revenue in 3 weeks than we did in 6 monds.
Can we stop there for a second to the reinventing? Sorry. And I want you to finish that, but we had talked about, and I don't know if you've seen the Savannah Bananas, kind of sounds like a silly thing, but okay. So that guy's brilliant. Yellow Tux Jesse, I think it's his name. And he has set a culture and a standard that we are going to reinvent every month. And to them, that's defined by 20 new ideas. So maybe the challenge for us is we have a culture of viewing reinvention as a negative, that seems like a lot of work to me. Where Rene and Yellow Tux Jesse and Savannah Bananas have a habit and a culture of, no, this isn't going to be like a one-time thing. This is going to be the rule of Rene's business and the Savannah Bananas is every month we're going to look at what can we do differently? How can we reinvent? Because a lot of the originators, back to your mindset comment, are stuck in, I don't want to reinvent. Well, you're effed, first of all, because you won't even want to do what is needed. Second of all, maybe we just need to be comfortable with the fact that there is going to be reinvention. Necessity is the mother of invention, and reinvention as an LO, as a realtor, is the necessity. And I love that you were talking like, Rene, if you didn't, your first big reinvention was you hit the ground running. Prior to COVID, you were top of the mountain. Rug was pulled out from underneath you. You didn't bitch and scream and moan. you went right into what do we need to
No
do?
choice.
What's the first reinvention? So guys, maybe we just need to expect and change our mindset to, hey, reinvention is part of the process every
So
month.
what does reinvention mean? So because if I'm listening to this, what does reinvention mean as a loan officer? Well, sometimes like this a great example is having this conversation of this 10x mindset versus a 2x mindset. I know there's a great book. A lot of people talk about 10x. There's a lot of stuff there, but let's just talk about the 10x mindset versus a 2x mindset. Most people are scared of 10xing any growth. That's 10 times. And so, but most people, if you talk about 2x, are all over it. So let's just pretend. Why is this the case? We're pretending we're going down the street and there's a fork in the road and there's 100 people meet that fork. Left is a 2 times your business. We're going to double your business. To the right is a strategy to 10x your business. What road will most people take?
I would assume they would want to take the 10x road.
They'd want it, but what would they really take?
2x?
Well, think about it. What's easier to believe? Doubling your business or 10 times your business?
Fair point. Yeah, good point.
So what happens is most people choose, even unconsciously, a 2x strategy. To do a 2x strategy requires you to do exactly what you're doing twice as hard. In a place, let's just say out of 100, I would bet that 95% would go 2x, maybe 5 of those people would go 10x. So you're deciding to compete in a highly crowded strategy. I'm just going to call more realtors, which, by the way, not a bad idea. Still works. I'm going to come in earlier, stay later. Not a bad idea. Sucks for the family. But what does a 10x strategy mean? Then people go, I have no idea how to even think that way. Well, one of the things that requires is realizing that 20% of your business, Pareto principle, accounts for 80% of the results. So then the 10x strategy is you got to cut 80% of the shit that you're doing, which is one of the things that I did in literally the last 4 weeks. And it was one day to the next, 80%, I'm done with it. And people are like, no way. I'm like, watch me. 27 events I've said no to in the last 2.5 weeks.
Dang.
And trust me, I wanted to do them. I was supposed to be on WealthCon. That was a hard one. Beautiful stage. I had to say no. And he's a good friend of mine. I had to say no. And other stages that I had to say no. Because it didn't fit a certain criteria that I needed to for me and my family. Being on the road 239 days or speaking 200 days was not good anymore for me. It was a cool tune before. My wife was okay with it until I came home and realized it's not a good tune anymore. Yeah. I need to make that tune. So next day we did that. So now the 10x strategy, there's only a few people competing in that world, which by default would make it a less crowded space. But what do we mean by that? So the big shift is you got to stop thinking about money, start thinking about value and wealth. So let's define that for a minute. If you think about money all the time, I got to make more money. You're thinking from a finite perspective, a quantitative perspective. So typically in that perspective, it's a zero-sum game. If I get $1 from you, you lose $1, I gain $1, right? I win, you lose. But let's pretend that you have a beat up vehicle that's worth $500, but you have a skill set that you decided to learn on how to refurbish vehicles. And you put that skill set into that vehicle, and now it's worth $20,000. Did anybody lose because of that increased value? No one lost. And you literally created, like alchemy, value out of something that was nothing. So I know people that don't have much money but have massive wealth, and wealth would be in terms of freedom. And I know people that have a ton of money but not much wealth because I know people that make $2 million a year, but they have 1.8 and 1.9 million in expenses. I have been that person. And where you get all this money coming in, you're traveling all over the world. Like, man, Rene, you're all the time. I'm like, I was a slave to the client and a slave to the travel and a slave to the fear of my 2X strategy. And so then I had to go, okay, do I have the courage to say no to those things and to do that? And the answers to these things lie in innovation. They lie in the things that you're scared to do. They lie in the places and decisions that are driven by fear versus the ones that you know are adding value. And so the thinking behind this is I want you to be okay thinking differently to it. Where now, if I'm thinking wealth, I'm really thinking about investing a lot in my skill set, and my skill set makes me more valuable, and my value helps me build more wealth. And what's really cool is what follows value and wealth is money. And so it's really that way to have money follow you. I can solve a bigger problem. I can solve a $10,000 problem. What if I solved a $5 million problem?
Mm.
Well, then where are those problems? We have to start thinking differently. Like for me, like, and sometimes thinking differently is doing the thing that most people aren't willing to do. If I was literally in mortgage, I wanted to make money, I would stand outside of an apartment complex. Sorry, the basic shit. I would literally stand out there and I'd ask one question. Hey guys, I'd sit there with a clipboard and say, I'm doing a quick survey. Do you mind if I ask you a question? I'd say, and probably some will say yes, most will say no. So let's just deal with that. Oh, they might say no. Yeah, most will.
Mm-hmm.
So those that can't handle it, don't do this. And the ones that say yes, I say, do you know what net worth means? Some will say yes, some will say no, some will lie and say yes, they do know. So the ones that say no, I get a chance to explain it. Well, it's really what accumulation of your assets, things that are worth money, versus minus your liabilities, things you owe. And at the end of that, if it's a positive number, you have a positive net worth. And so that when we talk about millionaires, they have $1 million of net worth. You talk about somebody who's a billionaire, same thing. And so now, are you interested in growing your net worth? They're going to say, well, yeah. I said, I know it's kind of a stupid question. I said, well, what's interesting is that I'm in the business of growing net worth. Do you know the average net worth of somebody who owns a home? Most likely they're going to say no. Well, it's $394,000. Pretty cool, right? I'm going to say, yeah. I said, do you know the average net worth of a renter, somebody that lives actually where you live here? They'll say no. It's $10,400. It's 44 times different between the two. I'm in the business of getting you into the other category of that. And if you have 15 minutes of your time, I'd love to show you how you're already spending the money to do it. You're just building someone else's net worth, not yours. And I would do that until I had enough meetings and appointments and applications. I would also partner with a good credit repair company. So the ones that needed help, it's not about if, it's about when. And I would put them here, send them back to me when they're ready. And I would just fill that pipeline. Now that's one strategy of thousands that you could choose.
Right.
But I might have to reinvent myself from somebody who expects deals to come my way to somebody who goes and hunts those deals. That might be the reinvention. It might be the one that I have to pick up the phone and make the call, and hopefully somebody doesn't call me. I might have to be, well, the company's not providing leads. Well, then maybe I need to be the lead provider.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe I need to go. So I wasn't doing events. Well, maybe I need to do lunch and learns every single week for realtors, and I'm going to suck for the first 10. But then I'm going to get it. I mean, how many times do you see me going on camera with crappy? You were way ahead of the game. Like you had your studio before this was even an issue. But I had webcams and wood paneling behind me, and I was 102 pounds of fat heavier. Like there's so many things that were there, and I sucked at first. So we suck at everything at first. Your reinvention is going to require you to do this. In fact, here's the thing, write this down. Awkwardness is a requirement for growth. Mm. And anything that we do, remember, go back to you're a fighter. When you learn a new move in jiu-jitsu, fighting, how awkward were the first times you did it?
Oh, you're doing it completely wrong, and you look like you're dancing with two left feet every time.
Right.
Yep.
But you keep going until, because that awkwardness is the precursor to the growth.
Well, and so, the reps are only thing that perfect it too.
Yeah. And so you got to be okay repping awkwardness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
And so you're gonna say the wrong script. You're gonna say all that sort of stuff. And if you were somebody that, if the stage isn't working for you, maybe you got to reinvent and try something different. Whatever it is you got to do, I would go talk to the people that are doing well. What are they doing? I guarantee you they're talking to one-on-many, most of them. They're not just one-on-one, but if it's cool, if you weren't talking to anybody, then one-on-one's better than one-on-none.
The repping awkwardness is a great line, and it's ties together with something that, and I want to get into it a little bit later. Maybe we can get into it now. Ampcon, that's coming up. But dude, as I've known you over the years, you've poured in to your skill set at an insane level. And I don't know, maybe I don't want to put words in your mouth. Maybe 5 years ago, you felt like, man, I'm at a high level, highest level you've probably ever been at from a professional skill set and ROI and relevance meter. But you didn't stop there, dude. You kept going and you keep going. And every time I look back and, check on my buddy Rene, like, oh my God, he's on another level again. Like he learned something completely new. And to me, so did everything else that followed that. And I know that's part of Ampcon is perfecting and increasing your skill set guys, as originators, as realtors, I think a lot of times we hit what we think is our ceiling, and we stop evolving, kind of like what we're talking about. We stop reinventing. And just look at Rene is a great example of just continuing to pour into his skill set and see his success and relevance increase, and follow the reps that you're talking about. And so, I mean, it's a compliment to you, man, because
Thank you.
I thought you had peaked 5 years ago. So I was so impressed then. And like I said, every month I look back, you're doing something new, you're doing something bigger. Now you're turning down 23, events because you just don't have enough time. So, kind of
I
tying
have the time.
Ampcon and
That was the hard part. I have the time. I could totally do them. They didn't fit into the 20% strategy, and that's the hard part.
yeah.
I have the time, and that's the part too, is that a lot of distractions come your way disguised as opportunities, and the clarity that needs to be created so that you can make those quick decisions. And when you're looking at hurting your family, it's a clarity builder for you, right? And so for
Well,
me, being on the road that much was clarity building.
yeah, and I mean that was a really humbling and honest statement. Like, yeah, I was on the road, and it felt great to be wanted and to be liked and to be an influence, but I made X, and I barely netted. I netted a little bit less, and it really robbed from my family. You didn't say that point, but I'm sure that was true too, because you're gone, and you weren't with the family,
Well,
so it really
you come
wasn't.
home one day. You come home one day, and after being gone for 5 days, and no one's at the front door to meet you,
Yeah,
and you go, okay, hey guys, I just got home. Oh, hey, I'll be back a couple hours. I'm like, I just got home. Life moves on when you're still on the road. Sorry.
yeah,
I was like, okay, I used to talk about balance is BS. Harmony is good. You play this tune, I play that tune, as long as we're making a good song. But now we were out of tune. Time for a change.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's that same thing. Whatever and get beyond mindset and start thinking about habits. And I love your wristband discipline over motivation. If you're waiting, and my wife tells me this all the time when she did her fitness competition. I was just saying, man, I just really can't wait to get the motivation back to get back in the gym. And she looks at me, she goes, you think that's what's going to do it? If you wait for motivation, it's never going to happen. You got to do it with or without the motivation. There's that discipline
Hmm.
and even our buddy Ben Newman says, standard over emotion, right? And so whatever my emotional feeling is in the place doesn't matter. What's the standard? What's the discipline that I got to live to? Easy to say, but there's also some science around this, by the way, because you talk about grit. And the cool thing is that there's a part of the brain now they've been able to look at called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex and the AMCC. It's found to be bigger in Navy SEALs, like military leaders, people that have run distance marathons, fighters, people that do really difficult things and overcome adversity. It's found to be small in people who are obese. What's interesting, though, is that somebody who is obese and goes on a diet, that part of their brain gets larger. So, what they're finding, this is what's so fascinating, is that you can deliberately grow a part of your brain by choosing to do things that you don't like to do and that are hard and miserable. By choosing suffering, you grow the part of your brain that is responsible for tenacity and the will to live. And so, you're talking about grit, everything resides in that little part of the brain. And and this is why where David Goggins was so ahead of the game here was he's choosing difficulty every day. So we choose as a mantra, but now the science says by choosing, you can make your life easier by deliberately choosing to make it harder in moments of the day because you grow the capacity for tenacity in that part. So then when life throws you suffering, it's not your first time. You've been there and you have the capacity to not quit and that grit to keep moving. Well, that grit muscle is literally that anterior mid-cingulate cortex. You can grow that grit muscle. And so that's where cold exposure, heat exposure, eating hot peppers, doing burpees, HIIT exercises, doing the things that you don't like. And there's people, well, I love cold plunging. Well, then you got to make it colder
Yeah.
because if you love it, it's not growing it.
Well, there's a
So
couple. There's many takeaways already today, but yeah, choose something tomorrow to do that you don't want to do. And I was going to say, you already said it. Goggins must be a master at it. He must have the biggest part of his brain because he's definitely the best at it. But I brought up the reps and the pouring into your skill set because that's what I've seen my friends, my peers in the business, realtors, leaders, loan officers shy away because things have gotten tough. And maybe I get it. Money's money and travel's tough when things are down and your savings account's down. But it, it boggles me that they just stop trying to evolve. And I'm like, man, that's the exact opposite of what's needed right now. We need to
Yeah.
go in and increase our skill set. That's why I tell your story and what has followed when you've done that. And I know Ampcon definitely will do that. And guys, I'm telling you, if it's coming up on August 16th, I think it is in Dallas. And that is one thing I know from Rene. It's absolutely going to, one, make you a better leader, but increase your skill set. And I'm telling you, back to your analogy to pull this full circle about the Navy SEAL being nervous. I get it. We're all nervous in tough times. It's been really, really tough. And nervous is a human nature response. But again, who's more nervous, the Taliban or the Navy SEAL? And what's the difference? Your reps. How, you know what I mean? Back to pouring into your skill set. I promise you, you're going to be a lot less nervous about your competition as an LO or a realtor. The more that you've reinvented and the more that you poured into your skill set, the better leader you've become, right? Like all that comes into navigating 945 days better than the guy or gal to the left or right of you. Because like you said, it's raining for everybody. Just choose for it not to suck.
Here's what I'll tell you. So you want to take away, do this. I can give you initiatives. I can give you strategies to business develop and to earn leads and things like that. But if you don't make this one change that I'll tell you, none of those ideas matter. You have to manage who you spend your time with. You have to go find, if you're feeling down, which by the way, I feel you, hang in there. If you're feeling down, you're feeling frustrated, you feel like you want to give up, I need you to think and find and name 1 to 5 people, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that aren't feeling that way. I need you to get around them, interview them, take them to lunch, drive them to the airport, do whatever you can to get around them, because you will hear a different narrative. You will hear a different story. And I need you to buy into their story, not into the one that has made you feel the way that you do. The narrative is how we construct and build our reality, our understanding of reality. And if you can manage who you are around, if you have a negative mindset right now, that means you are around people that allow it and around people that probably share it. And birds of a feather flock together. And if we can all boo-hoo together, at least we feel comforted that we're not the only ones. Don't seek that comfort. Find somebody that doesn't see it your way. Make sure you spend time with them. And I promise you, all of the innovative ideas will come from those conversations. Not this and what Ryan and I are talking about, but maybe this is one of those positive things you're putting in your head. But I need you to do 5 to 10 others. How can you really surround yourself so you get good stuff going into your brain and you're having good conversation? Manage what comes out, because what comes out of your mouth when it's verbalized, thinking is one thing, verbalizing is another. Verbalizing makes it real. Bypasses the part of the brain that might be able to dismiss it and makes it truth. So don't let yourself speak that way. And if you're around people that are good and going somewhere, they won't allow you to speak that way. They're going to change it, or they're just going to move away from you.
Such a good point, man. I wanted to ask you a question. You're talking about coaching some top producers. One last question, and then I definitely want you to share what you're working on, because I want the Resource Nation and any of our friends and family to go to this. But one question, I was with a top producer. She had closed 13 million in May, 15 million in June. Top
Nice.
1% of the 1%, crushing it.
Yeah.
We had a one-on-one call the other day, and she spent exactly 0 minutes talking about the NAR settlement. She spent exactly 0 minutes talking about rates. It was 60 minutes of her just like sharing exactly what she's working on. And it was 7 or 8 strategies that were so freaking cool. Like it fired me up. I'm like taking notes. Like I'm supposed to be coaching her. I'm like, I'm taking notes myself. And so I'm curious, can you share the mindset, and don't share the personal stuff from Sean and some of the other producers, but do you, I would imagine you would kind of hear the same mindset from those guys when you're jumping on that call. Can you share, is it a similar mindset? Because you already said they don't talk about NAR, but what is their mindset when they get on with Rene? Like, what's the vibe? And again, don't share anything you can't. You know, you got to respect those boundaries.
I mean, these guys are friends, so like we talk because we like talking to each other, right? It's one of those things where it's an enjoyable, because we're always thinking new ideas, and so it's almost not even intentional. There's just a vigor for new, fresh, and so Sean and Ben Cohen it's like, I mean, they're very clear about their priorities. really crystal clear. If you fit in those priority pieces, you get time. If you don't, you don't, and they don't feel bad about it.
Mm.
And it's undefended. They don't need to defend their actions. And because they're clear. And so, I mean, that's the mindset is they're just crystal clear of what they need to do. And any conversation outside of that that doesn't progress forward, it just doesn't happen.
There's
It
just
just
no
doesn't
air
happen.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no life. They starve it of any level of attention. It just dies. And so, I think that would be the simplest one is that they're very clear and they have very high standards for themselves and very high standard for those people around them. And the good news, people say, well, they can because they're that way. No, they're that way because they were that way.
Because exactly, they starve the distractions. I see that a
Mhm.
lot with top performers is they starve the distractions. They're very clear personally and professionally because they both work
Yeah.
together about protecting that time. And this is the strategy I'm going to execute. It's not I'm going to
Yeah.
execute. And this is my tribe. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. But this is what I'm going to do.
For those of you who are new, I want you to go back to start with what I said. Manage who you're around. Listen to what's coming out of your voice. Start there. And I promise you, bigger conversations, better conversations, new mindsets, new philosophies, new narratives will emerge from just making that choice. Now, you don't have to be dramatic also about the ones you don't want to hang out with. You don't have to make some Facebook announcement about what happened. None of that stuff needs to happen. All you need to do is just manage where you spend your time.
I love it, man. I've given you this compliment before. I'll give you it not one last time, one more time. As we transition to talking about Ampcon, and I no bullshit, guys. Amplify and Rene, that event is the single most event that I've got the most amount of value. And no
Oh,
offense to my friends that run other events, I love them. I go to them, and they're great. But I got to tell no BS. Amplify and Rene for me has been the most value added event I've ever attended. It changed my life professionally. And if
thank you,
you
sir.
can get into an Amplify event or an Ampcon, I promise you, you'll see the same results. It's value add from start to finish, and it will change your life. So talk to us about anybody that's like, you know what, Rene, I'm picking up what you're laying down. I want to spend more time with you. What's next steps and how can they do that?
Well, one, thank you. I remember our time together. I remember it fondly when you almost wanted to punch me in the face. Thank God you didn't.
I think it was
But
authentic, if anything, right?
it was, yeah. No, we have Ampcon coming up on August 16th. It's our annual event. This will be our fourth one. Our event, it's special to me because we take a very risky approach of not hiring the most famous people. We hire what we feel are the most impactful people to come and speak. And when you and there's other events out there, good buddies of mine that bring the famous people. Those are exciting events and phenomenal events. We just decided to play a little differently and not an easy approach because you may not know these guys, but we've got. I mean, I think you should know these guys. Flex Lewis, who's a 7 consecutive Mr. Olympia winner. This guy won. Arnold Schwarzenegger won at 6. Flex won at 7. To give you an idea who he is, so he's going to talk about. Imagine being on lockdown, perfect body, perfect eating, perfect workouts for 7 years in a row to be in the zone.
Talk about
Like,
discipline over motivation. Sheesh.
man, nothing but
Yeah.
net for 7 years. I mean, think about that. Number one in the world. And he's going to be talking about that. He's going to be there. We've got Derek Fay, who's bought and sold and managed over $2 billion worth of companies. And we're going to talk about value in a very, very different way. He's actually a new business partner of ours and super excited about him. We got Coach Michael Burt, who's what they call America's coach. He's probably written 14 books. He's a basketball coach. Now he helps salespeople, executives do what we call prey drive. If you think of that drive when a predator sees its prey, well, he has a way of getting that out of us and
Oh,
sort of
I
having
love
that.
that,
Oh,
dude. That's money.
it's a cool idea. He's a genuine dude. We got Charlie Rocket, over 12 million followers on social channels. He was 19 years old, was became a promoter, short, chubby white kid, became a promoter or excuse me, manager, and his first client was 2 Chainz. And
No.
somehow he got 6 other number one artists, won Grammys and Emmys and all that stuff, and he was on a roll. And then he got brain cancer, gave it all away, and decided to become an athlete. Now he was 300 and some pounds and very short. He didn't look like an athlete. but he went out there and said, you know what? Before I die, I'm going to be an athlete. That was my dream. And he went out and did it. And then he decided to create a commercial, a Nike fan commercial. And that Nike fan commercial was picked up by Nike. They flew him out there and they said, you reminded us, there's 40 people in the room. You reminded us what it means to be an athlete. We're changing the entire strategy of Nike because of this commercial.
Wow.
And that commercial became the largest Nike campaign ever in history. The Colin Kaepernick one that came out in the Super Bowl. And he starred in it. And now he's made all his dreams come true. Now he makes 30 dreams a week come true with his Dream Machine Foundation. And he's just an amazing human. I just did a podcast with him. Come see him. My wife is going to speak there. I'm speaking there. We've got some incredible people in the audience. It's going to be an intimate group. But when I say intimate, we might have 500-600 people there, but it always feels intimate in the way we do it. And we got a VIP dinner the night before for those who are VIP. Dave Meltzer, actually, have you ever seen Jerry Maguire?
Yeah.
So that was inspired by Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment. Dave Meltzer was their CEO. Dave is a very dear, close friend and coach, mentor of mine. He's going to be there, and we're co-hosting a celebrity VIP dinner the night before. So he brings all his celebrity friends. It's going to be really cool. And then he gets a chance to speak and do his thing. And we've got Amber Lee Lago coming. This is a really, really cool group of people.
That's awesome,
and so
man.
Here's the offer, by the way. Here's the offer. I want this industry to win during this time. You guys have all been good to me, and I want you guys to win. So here's the thing. One, I'm going to give you 50% off the general admission. So when you go there, give them the link. Use the code Ampcon 50. Ampcon 50, AMPCON 50. That'll give you 50% off. And for those of you who do sign up and buy the general admission ticket, send us a message and we will give you a coupon to bring 5 people with you. And I want you to not just hand it out to anyone. Don't do that. That's not what this is about. I want you to go to your referral partners. Those of you, this is your beginning of the reinvention. You bring them an additional value saying, hey, I got this event, play the video for them. I want you to come as my guest. And you bring them and utilize our event to build and bond and connect with the people so that you can start putting good stuff in this brain so you guys can start creating the good narratives. I'm doing this event regardless. Well, why not all of us benefit from it? And it's part of the brand that we're doing. It's part of the reinvention that we're doing. It's part of the new strategy. I'm cutting down, instead of a video a day, I'm going to do 2 to 3 a week instead, but put massive amount of attention and energy on those videos. We're going to do YouTube, but we're also going to try to open up ourselves. I mean, instead of $6,000 a person to come see us, here's 50% off. Come hang out with us. Bring 5 people. If you want to do VIP, we'll give you 10.
Dang, I saw VIP was sold out. So is there still a few left?
Well, we got Ultra and Super are sold out, but we have the regular VIP, which is available. Good,
guys. What a Rene, one, thank you. I thought, I knew you were going to hook us up, but that's next level. To bring a tribe of 5 would be insane. That's awesome, man. Thank you, guys. And we'll put all those links in the code below. That is huge. I don't know how you turn down that offer. Grab 5 and go, and that, provide massive value and just go, win together, guys. I know your realtor partners are struggling too. They needed it just as much as you do. What a great time. That's a huge win for us. Thank you so much, man.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you having me on. And it's just go to my website. You'll see meetrene.com up at the top. Click on Ampcon or the link that Ryan provides. Make sure you follow me on social media at Learn with Rene as well.
Rene, man, we thought we were going to go 5 or 10 minutes like normal. We went long, but I appreciate it. I hope you guys did as well. Again, follow Rene. We'll put all the links below, and hopefully we'll see you in Dallas August 16th. Appreciate you. See you guys next week.
We'll see you, man.